Welcome to Coffee Before Call Time. I'm Cassandra. I am an actress, writer, toddler mama, and today I wanted to talk about what auditioning actually taught me about manifesting because I really think it gave me a head start. And a lot of you may know me more for being a manifestation coach or, any of my books that I've written. And I was actually an actress first. And I think it gave me this beautiful skill that so many of us struggle with when manifesting anything because of the energy I think that you need to survive, honestly, as an actor. Um, when it comes to that gap, right? That gap between the desire and the intention setting and that initial push of the thing you want out into the world and actually seeing a return on it. And I think whatever you're manifesting, whether you're also an actress or actor or you're a writer or you're manifesting a raise or a new house or anything, right? There's this gap between when we get really clear on our desire, and if you're in my world, you probably already have some tools where you're visualizing that desire. Maybe you're writing out that desire. Maybe you're doing a vision board, and what I do is always the practical magic of it, right? So, what are the aligned action steps you need to take? If you're wanting to get a new job, like we do, we need to update the resume, right? We need to get on a job hunt site. And yes, can a job manifest from, out of the blue? Absolutely. We're so open to that possibility, but that doesn't mean we're not going to take those aligned earthly actions either, right? We're going to take the aligned earthly actions, but then be open for it to happen that way or something greater. And then we also do the energetics and the practical, the energetics rather, what I call the magical, which would be looking at any fears that are limiting beliefs that are stopping you from getting that manifestation, right? And so what I find is that people will do all that work, right? My clients, they'll do that work and then they're kind of like checking the mail, so to speak, right? It's like when you order that package on Amazon or on Barnes and Noble or wherever you're ordering online, right? Um, you trust like it's on its way. I put in my things, I ordered the thing I want, and it's on its way. And I think with auditioning, this came up this week because I had a big audition a couple weeks ago that I told some of my friends about because I was really excited. And all of which who are not actors, right? And so a lot of them were following up, like, oh, did you hear anything? Did you hear anything? And I was like, oh, like it was so kind of like, oh, well, thanks for following up. But actually, I don't think about it once I send it off. And they thought that was so kind of wild, right? However, being in this business for a really long time, I think there is like just a necessity about that where I have to show up for the audition. I have to align myself in all of the, with all of the training that I have as an actor, do my due diligence on the script, memorize it, think about all the relationships, the character thoughts, all the different like beats in the scene. And then I also have to do the magical part of that, whereas like tuning into the energy of the character, doing meditation where I'm feeling like I'm in the character's body. I'm seeing the thoughts that are going on in her head or how she's like feeling in her nervous system. And so I'm doing the practical and the magical. I'm recording the or doing the audition, right? And and I make sure I do it to the best of my ability, of course. But then once it's done, I almost imagine it's like a basketball, right? And so I have this basketball. I've made it to the best of my ability with what I desire, right? And then I'm throwing it. I'm literally throwing it. And sometimes when I struggle to release it, I will see myself. I'll just be like tossing basketballs, like invisible basketballs during the day. When it comes up, I'm just like, God, angels, guides, this is out of my hands right now, right? And that helps me surrender it because obviously there's different ranges of, auditions and roles, and some of them are easier to surrender than others. But now I can honestly say like I've had ones that like I really do want, And I'm still able to really surrender it because I'm in the practice of that. And I feel like that also bleeds over into your manifesting because you similarly you get that desire that kind of spurts up for this thing that you want to manifest, similarly to maybe me receiving that audition, and then you get to work and you say, okay, well, what's my side of the street for this manifestation? What are the things I need to do my due diligence on? And for instance, if that's like you're like, I want to be a published author. Okay, so then maybe you need to look up what's the outline for a book proposal? What kind of literary agents represent the kind of topics that I want to write a book on? Um, what kind of publishers publishes those books? Start working on your proposals. Start having regular writing time. When you get your proposal, you're emailing it out to those literary, like you're doing the earthly things, and then, of course, you're doing the energetics around it. You're going to say, okay, what are my fears and blocks that are telling me I can't do this? That are maybe stopping me from regularly writing every day, right? We do that and we do the practical magic, but then you get to a certain point, which, for certain people, like as a coach or like someone that has manifestation courses and stuff out there, I can tell you all of that practical magic stuff to do to kind of launch your basketball, right? But then I think, advanced exercise becomes trusting that it was enough. Trusting being able to actually surrender and release and lean into that what's meant for me is not going to miss me. I'm going to stay open to any intuitively aligned actions I might still need to take, but I'm not going to fall for manic manifesting, taking action, right? I'm not going to lean into actions from a place of lack or doubt or fear or worry. I'm going to take actions only if they come through from that really trusting, surrendered place. And I think the the reason why it was able to be easier for me, I think, starting as an actress and doing it with auditions is because I inherently, and maybe you have this belief too, I think a lot of people do, I inherently subscribe to the belief around the kind of, magic of the film and TV world, right? That there is just some roles or certain, parts that are going to align for you. And then other things that are not. And it might not have anything to do with your talent or your capability of what you sent in. It could be something as, like this, you were meant to play this part, or you were not meant to play this part, right? And so I subscribe a little bit more to that like fatedness of things and the little je ne sais quoi magic um of what's for me is for me and what's not for me is for me. Similarly, when I book things, I don't necessarily think I was always the most talented person for the role, but I was the most right for that role, right? When they saw that, they were like, this is that character. And so similarly, I think we can have a hard time applying that same belief or logic towards our manifestation of trusting in the timing of things, of trusting that the things that are meant to work out, and the things that are not meant to work out are not going to work out. And and being in that space where maybe you send out the resumes or you send out the book proposals or you put your profile up on the dating app, right? You do that thing, you throw that basketball, and then knowing when energetically it's out of your hands. And I think there is a real peace to allowing it being out of your hands because then what happens, we can get in our like all of us who were like A plus honor roll students who, now are into metaphysics and spirituality and manifesting, you're like, I'm gonna out manifest everybody, right? I get it. I've been there. But there's actually a deep like trust and faith and energetic worthiness in being able to throw that basketball and being able to say, I have thrown, I've unleashed the butterflies into the world, and we shall see what comes back to me. And I trust that if there is something more on the earthly plane I need to do, if there is like a connection I need to make or an email I need to send or something like that, that I will be intuitively guided to do so. But not that I need to, just be doing things every day, because what that happens is it's like, even if and it's so funny because it would never occur to me to do this. But even if I, let's say, after I send an audition, spent like every day visualizing me booking that role, there is a element of doubt and insecurity that would potentially permeate that action, right? This feeling that like what I already did wasn't enough, instead of being like, what I did is enough. It was good. I did my due diligence. And now I can sit in the energy of, if it's for me, it's for me, because that's actually a higher vibration. That's the vibration of someone that believes that things get to work out for them, that believes that they are talented, that they are worthy, that they are capable. And that's just a matter of, if that particular thing is the one that's aligned with them, versus being in this energy of, I need to try to control and do all these different things every day. Meanwhile, you're waiting now. Now you're like waiting for some sort of response, right? Which in the acting world, I think is just absolute torture, because that's like, it doesn't happen. You either book it or you don't book it. And you don't hear from anyone if you don't book it. And that's kind of a beautiful thing in the way of, because if you think about that with manifesting, you kind of set that ball of desire out there to the universe, to God, your higher power, to whatever the thing is you're doing. Maybe it's to the literary agents, maybe it's to like new jobs, maybe it's to the, single men of Los Angeles, whatever it is your thing. And then you're trusting in your capability and your process, that you'll get that return. You'll get that return, whether it's on that specific thing that maybe you thought of or you were sending of, or it comes the other way. Like maybe you will get an interview from one of the companies you email, or maybe you'll run into a friend and mention that you just sent out these resumes because you want a new job. And she's like, oh, my company is hiring. Let me make you a connection, right? We never know how the thing is going to manifest, is going to come back to us. And when we focus on the overall essence of the desire, I want to be a published author. I want to be in a happy, healthy relationship. I want to have this kind of job that makes me, feel X, Y, and Z. I want to be a working actress. I want to do, great roles on great shows or great films. And that's really the essence, like, that's really the energy. Does it really matter if it's this specific role, or if it's that specific job, or if it's that specific, guy I saw at the library or whatever? No, because if we really have trust and faith and surrender, we can also lean back on that the universe, our God, angels, our guides, are going to align the right person. And just because right person, the right role, the right literary agent, the right company to work for, right? And that there, A Course in Miracles teaches us that there is, God's plans work, ours don't. When we set off our desires, our brain wants to quantify it in something that feels possible and tangible to us in this moment, right? So if you've only ever gotten a job through sending resumes on an online job search website, then you're naturally going to visualize that that's how you're going to get your next job. But when we're really tuned into all the magic and the possibilities that could happen, doesn't mean you don't send your resumes on that job search website, but it does mean that you're open, that, hey, I'm doing this because this is my practical magic due diligence. And I could get no interviews from that job website and get 5 interviews through a friend or, randomly talking to a business that I love, right? Like all the DMing on Instagram, right? There's so many magical ways that our manifestations can come to us. And when we're in that space of this or something better, I think it also helps you in that moment of, okay, I did all the work. I formulated my basketball. Have sent it out there. I'm throwing it out there, into the ethers, and I can trust it's going to land where it's meant to land. Um, because the gap is where most of us get tortured. The gap is where a lot of us, start going into doubt and lack and manic actions or, totally losing hope or whatever it is, right? It's like that gap. So I hope that this was helpful, this little coffee before call time, little reflection into the week to really ask yourself, are there any basketballs that I'm holding on to from a place of doubt or lack or, mistrust that maybe I can just send out into the world? Today, I can do a little check and say, is there any more aligned due diligence actions that I need to do to, feel clean about this? And then send it off and trust that it says there's something better. So thanks for tuning in to another episode every Monday here on Substack Live. And I would love to hear if you have any questions or comments. Please, if you haven't, subscribe to my Substack with intention from Cassandra. I give a weekly digest every week on Fridays with lots of reflections and cosmic updates and all sorts of juicy goodness. And you can subscribe for free or become a part of our paid subscriber community. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next Monday.